cheap shit. So they get rippets, and the rippets come in these small ass little tiny cans. And I know when I was in Afghanistan, before we used to go outside the wire, before we would even leave the base, I would take 3 of them motherfuckers straight to the head. Just like Trey, Stone Cold style, goddamn, 3 of them straight to the head.
You gotta prep yourself.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you gotta get juiced up. You gotta get juiced up.
Do that gangster.
Look,
Do that gangster shit.
Hey, look, 100. Them boys I used to ride with, they take the rippers to the head like Stone Cold, and they blasting Metallica at the same time, like getting amped to go out, getting ready to go.
I ain't gonna lie to you. So when I was in Afghanistan,
Metallica, though. I ain't gonna lie.
I ain't gonna lie to you. When I was in Afghanistan, part of my job was being a gunner. So, and I used to have a Bluetooth speaker that I would put in my turret. I take the rippets, and first thing I'm playing is Waka Flocka Flame. That's the first thing that comes on. Waka, 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 waka. I'm telling you right now. Getting juiced up. Yeah, he's not wrong. We used to get juiced,
which is why I don't disagree with him. I think there's a benefit to being calm, right? When I was in law enforcement, if you were calm, you could get through a lot of things, right? Running up on the scene and seeing somebody being shot 17 times or shot in the head, there's a level of calmness you need to be able to have to control that scene. So I agree with him that being calm, it is to your benefit. But I also know that outside of those types of situations, some people can't operate in calm. A lot of people sometimes they operate in chaos. I've seen people literally be able to work through chaos. I can't live like that. I can't do that, right? I'm more structured and, like that. But I've seen people be able to really work through the noise and the confusion. I don't know where I'm supposed to be, and where am I supposed to go here? But they somehow get it figured out. Whereas me, I need better direction. I need better instructions. You know what I mean? I've seen them do that. But again, as I said, some of this stuff is kind of subjective to the person. I don't disagree with them. I think that calmness definitely benefits you more than it hurts you.
And the reason I agree with what he's saying is because if you go to a jail right now and you go talk to a bunch of brothers, a lot of the ones that actually did the crime, because a lot of innocent brothers are locked up. But if you go to a lot of them, they will tell you, you know what, bro, if I would have just took my ass home instead of A, B, and C, if I would have just got back in my car rather than A, B, and C, like sometimes it is in its simplest form as simple as separate yourself. Sometimes it is as simple as that.
But if you're dealing with cultural trauma behind the reason of why you make a lot of your ill-informed decisions, then it is not that simple. It's not that simple when you're dealing with a people who at the drop of a dime. Well, okay, you from Watts, cuz, right? So I don't know how old you are, but do you remember?
I'm from Virginia. I'm from the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast.
All right. So you don't remember?
I just didn't want. I didn't want to be up here on the line.
I can dig it, cuz. Respect. The thing is, I remember when Crips started going at Bloods, man, and excuse me, when Crips started going at Crips. I remember when it was Crips versus Bloods, right? That shit was goofy. But then once crack came into the scene, and you know what I'm saying, you got this new product, this new industry, yada yada yada, and all of a sudden Crips was fighting Crips, and it's like based off of what? You know what I mean? It's you know what? Based off of what? Now what are we making these measurements off of who is potentially an enemy? Oh, if they messing up your money, if they, you know what I mean? If you go from protecting the hood to preying on the hood. It's like, okay, you're dealing with if those cultural if what is perceived to be a quality cultural perspective can be shooken, you know what I'm saying, by that degree, then you're dealing with something that is already, you know what I'm saying, unsettled. And when it comes with like, again, that's why I say we have a very, very particular social situation. Maybe those of us who came up, you know what I'm saying, inner city or whatever, you know what I mean, I guess so, maybe, black folks who came up in the suburbs didn't really have it like that. But if you was in the city, you was having issues from a myriad of factors, dealing with culture, dealing with history, dealing with industry, right? Dealing with unsolved mysteries within your neighborhood, familial breaks, a bunch of other stuff that would have us to lash out at one another at the drop of a dime. That was a lot.
I don't disagree with you. And I would think that the three of us grown ass men here on this panel would look back at some of the shit that we was doing and be like, you know what? I was being young and dumb.
Oh,
Even with the influence that you're talking about, I came from, because I did come from a finger twisting area. You know what I'm saying? Even though I ain't from California, we did come from finger twisting. You feel
that's
me?
right.
And that shit ain't it. Come on, man. Like we know what's up. That shit ain't really the
It
way.
wasn't
That
nothing
ain't the
wrong
way
with
to
it. Wasn't
do it.
nothing wrong with it till we started overtly banging on each other. That was nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing until we started misidentifying each other as a motherfucking target or as a potential
A
victim.
hundred percent valid. A
There wasn't
hundred
nothing
percent
wrong with
valid.
it.
A
Shit.
hundred percent valid. But nowadays, the only reason people start twisting fingers is because they went outside in their neighborhood and they got jumped by somebody from another neighborhood. So now they clicked up with these people to go get back at these people.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of anger and petty bullshit. Nigga, calm down, bro. Go get a hug. Find your mama and go get a hug. Nigga. Relax.
Find your father, go get a hug,
Go sit in the
nigga.
shower and cry. Go do
Nah,
something
nah,
other than
not
shoot
that.
somebody. You know what I'm saying? Hey
But
Tam,
I
my
mean,
man, hit the link. I just dropped the link in the chat, man. Hit the link. Come on, man. Come up. There you go, my man.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
Yeah, but as us as grown adults, we know that most of the stuff that we did when we were younger was just being young, dumb, and stupid. And why not agree? Like, how is that? I'm having a disconnect where that seems to be a hard concept to find. Like, we was doing shit that was stupid. Why not just identify that what is being done is stupid? Like, what is being done in front of us in 2025 is stupid.
okay. In particular, let's say you give a bullet point, right? Bullet point of 5 factors. Like
Okay.
what do you think is being maintained? Not necessarily by the generations that are exhibiting it or executing it, right? But let's say perhaps maybe an overall cultural support behind it.
Overall cultural support.
Yeah, because you said young boys a couple of times. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Basically talking about, you know what I'm saying, the youth. And,
The YNs.
okay, okay, those who are. I ain't going to assume all young black men is a YN like that. You know what I
I'm
mean?
not. I'm not. I'm not. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So the thing is when you're dealing with that particular youth, that's why I said earlier, you're dealing with a social erosion that's more like a meniscus injury. Like if any of you are familiar with meniscus tissue, that is the supportive layer that helps to cushion impacts to your knee and everything. There's no blood vessels there. Like everywhere else in the body where there's blood vessels, you can get regrowth, inevitably come back to a restorative health or functioning of that area. This is why when your knees go, they gone. Ain't no blood vessels there. It's very, very essential that you maintain integrity with lifestyle when it comes to that. I think that we've come to social elements involved with influencing the youth, involved with influencing youth culture. That's almost at like a quantum speed, especially dealing with social media and the fact that they can get a peer group that not only just supports them socially, monetarily, just through mere viewership, they can get major monetary support with that and backers from you know what I'm saying, potential sponsors or whatever. I think it's a lot more involved as opposed to just, as you know what I'm saying, the pilgrim was putting it, just being a good man and doing these basic things.
But why does it have to be more than that? Why
Because
does
you
it
in
have to be
America,
more than?
cuz what you talking
Why
about?
does
What
it
you
see? And that is a problem. See, that makes no sense to me. Why is it a problem for one grown ass man to be responsible for his bullshit?
Well, no, I'm not talking grown ass.
It's
I'm
because
talking culture.
I know I'm just and okay. Okay. All right, this is what I'm saying. All right, big
Yeah.
dog. You grew up in the hood. You grew up around gangs. They were shooting in your neighborhoods every day. Why is it that is a problem to say that this grown ass man could have made different decisions. Because, and the reason I asked that question is because if you talk to most of the old heads that did that stuff, they will all tell you that if I had an opportunity to do it again, I would do it different.
Right, and you got to ask the question: What is it? What is it about the persistence of the culture that makes it so appealing for the up and coming generations? Is it that the old heads keep the story to themselves? Because that's not how it was. You know what I'm saying? The old heads used to always deliver the game. That's why it was called the game. They told you about the game and gave you some game about navigating the game. So let's say that culture has fell back. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I was in elementary understanding that I could go to a grown ass black man for some game. And you know what I'm saying? You like old nigga. You are not going to hear that. You wouldn't hear that from anybody in my generation. We was 14, you know what I'm talking about, 13, 10, 11, 9. We don't say no old nigga. Hey, nah, that's somebody's father, somebody's uncle, whatever, and they could potentially lace you just for the fact that they're older, most seasoned. The thing is, there's been a lack of cultural respect that was maintained for how knowledge and how wisdom and how know-how travels between, you know what I'm saying, black men generations. Homie got his finger up though. Go ahead, Cut.
Are you asking like why are they not listening to the old heads or the older mature men?
If you're talking to me, I'm just saying that in the video that we've watched, there's 5. He only got to 4. We're gonna get to the last one here in just a quick second, because the video's almost done. It only got a couple minutes left. We're gonna get to the end of that. But be a good man, be dangerous, be educated, be calm. Those are 4 things that he's given so far. And many people would say that this is oversimplifying what may be going on, particularly in the black community, because culturally there are a lot of things that are happening and a lot of nuance that is happening to where it makes it hard for these 4 things to be realistic, I would say. And to me, I'm having a hard time understanding why that may be the case, because at the end of the day, we all know the world don't give a fuck about where you grew up, dog. Mm-hmm. They don't give a fuck. So to use that as an excuse as to why you make the ignorant decisions that you make, I'm having a hard time understanding. Yeah, and of course that may be to being in my 30s, but that don't excuse shit to me personally.
I feel like there's no excuse, and there should be no excuses of today why young black men are making dumb decisions. I feel like they don't listen. So I was kind of asking son the question of like, do you think we're not teaching them, or we're not reaching back to try to help them out?
Nah, I think what it is that, like I said, with the boomers, they are the ones who should have established that. It actually should have been established for them. The reason why we didn't get it is because it wasn't established for them. They was the generation, to me, they was the generation that got the worst dose out of all of this, because you know, they were ushered into that false illusion of inclusion, right? And so all you had to do was, you know, go to college and that's the way to do it. It's like, no, and what else? Dress a certain way, yeah, and what else? Speak a certain way, yeah, and what else? Right. The thing is, we're dealing with power dynamics with these people. This isn't just a mere culture clash, or, you know what I'm saying, a lack of them being receptive when they need to be. They have power intentions of why we have the current, negated quality of worth socially that we have. The thing is, black people stop acknowledging that they were in a gauntlet. They stopped acknowledging that they were within 2 Americas right after, you know what I'm saying, these motherfuckers murdered MLK. You know what I'm saying? 2 Americas. And they started tending more to Pilgrim America, Pleasantville, as opposed to Negroville. And you know what I'm saying? And having to sell their soul and booty hole and all the rest of that just to participate in Hollywood to be entertaining, as opposed to understanding that
what the fuck is you talking about?
I'm sorry, you know what I mean?
I wasn't thinking about it.
The chitlin circuit is supposed to be where it's at, but it wasn't. We wanted to be more American than black. And the boomers are a key example of that shit.
Yeah. Well,
that had more to do with money though. Being mainstream meant more money, which is why they wanted to appeal to white audiences and do things in Pleasantville and all those types of things because that meant more money. So I can agree with you to an extent, but I can also understand that if you're talking about a power dynamic, there is no power dynamic without the money. You gotta have the money. Majority of these people who are running this country, there's a monetary component to why they're in charge behind it. You know, when you look at Trump, Elon, Bezos, any of them, you can even look at to Saudi Arabia and all the money they have, the things that they're getting ready to do with after Trump just left from over there. So there's a money component that goes along with this this power. And
Is
it's one
that
of
to
the
be
things
taken
that
into consideration with what one will utilize to set inertia towards a quality character development by money?
Well, some people
see this is where I fall off the track. This is where me and 100 watts we don't mix on this. I don't think that other groups of ethnicities give a shit about morals or character. I don't think they care at all.
No, they don't.
I think if it's you or them, it's going to be you every time. And
Right.
whatever reason they need to take you out, they're going to do it. I saw that at some of the highest levels in law enforcement on a political level when I would watch them and how they would literally tear down things that were beneficial to Black communities because they wanted a councilman seat or a mayoral seat or whatever the case may be. They didn't care. I think our community, we're very concerned with doing the right thing and the moral thing. And oftentimes we get left behind. Meanwhile, our competitors, our contemporaries, whatever you want to call them, they don't give a shit about doing the right thing. They care about getting the power, maintaining the power, passing the power.
As it's supposed to be, but that's one thing. You know, Black people's hella slavery with a lot of shit, and we don't want to acknowledge that there's an epigenetic slave link with a lot of with a large portion of the way of how we tend to try to be, I guess, objectively moral balance within an immoral society. With groups that, as Trey said, largely they've shown that morality is not one of the key features that they operate with amongst themselves with other people. It has to be personal, it has to be cultural, and it has to be tribal. Are black people ready for that?
No. How many black boys grow up in single parent households? They're not ready for that.
Yeah.
Everything's all about feelings and how you say things. You know what I mean? And you could have said like tone policing. And so I've noticed that with peers my age, because I grew up around my grandpa, a Vietnam vet, and my mom, but she allowed my grandpa to put that battery in my back. Even as guys my age, high school, middle school, they would get out of shape over like the littlest things. And it's like, man, we got to do this right here so we can get right here. And everything was always individual. Like, no, well, that's not what I'm trying to do. And it's like, I've seen Asians come together, Seattle, and start a whole car business. You know what I mean? Everybody's goal probably wasn't into cars or rapping or mechanics or tuning cars, but it was the betterment of this community.
Right.
Of this culture, you know what I mean? So I do agree with Son and Trey and watch that. It's for real. Like a lot of other cultures would do things, they stay on top. You know what I mean?
And I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. The advantage that these other groups that we're talking about have hundreds, if not thousands, of years of historical togetherness that they have to lean on.
No, I'm not.
Right?
We had more than them in America. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I got the book Black Fortune, man. But we had Black Wall Street. We had Black Towns. We had a black Metro bus over there in Baltimore. You know what I mean? We had that one town that was underwater in Georgia. But we've had areas, bro. So
but wait a minute, we didn't have none of those towns based off of us being black. We had that. I'm from North Tulsa. We had that based off of being non-white. We've never. One thing that black people has never done is culturally define two things: what blackness means and what it's supposed to mean to be black and what it's supposed to mean to belong to being black. We've just largely just been non-white and non-whiting it, trying to non-white it the best that we can.
So that brings up a good point. Like, and I've heard this argument. Do you think we should separate, like, kind of how the white folks separate? You got white trailer trash, and you got well-to-do white folks. Is that the problem that you can say that you see, that we don't separate each other? Because we have the cousin that gang banging, shooting, and getting out of jail with the whole birthday party and a whole celebration of him getting out, but the dude that is going to high school, he just get a raggedy Honda.
But that goes back to the Chris Rock
the
joke.
same way. But white people
But that goes
use
back
them,
to the that goes back to. But what you're saying right now, that goes back to the Chris Rock joke of black people and niggas. There's black people,
Right.
and then there's niggas. So
right.
we
and I'm
do
a nigga.
have
So,
that.
so I'm gonna let y'all know right off
And
the bat.
I'm
I'm
a
a nigga, been a nigga since motherfucking elementary. Ain't changing shit. Because the very first thing that these Peckerwoods showed me is they had an issue with intelligent, entrepreneurial black people that they fucking qualify as being niggas. So if you gonna see me as a nigga, I'm gonna be your motherfucking nightmare, Peckerwood. Please believe. Field nigga. What?
Yeah.
In the wrong day, wrong time, I guess.
Yeah, I see what the time frame you're saying. Yeah.
To what Trey is saying, I do understand that all of the other cultures, they're not trying to give up the power that they have. Even if they don't have as much power as the group above them, they not trying to give up their little bit of motherfucking power. But the problem is that they have the ability of doing that because niggas have no togetherness whatsoever. Even if we are going to split black people up to black people and niggas don't have it together. Black people don't have it together. So
But you know
it makes
why?
it easy, but it makes it easy to spread things away from where it is because these niggas have a 500-600 year head start. They have a learning curve that's already applied.
That doesn't stop our culture from being something that can bond us, though. Black
And
people
I
try
agree,
to,
and I agree 100% with you. That's why I operate in a foot to ass. Like, hey, bro, I understand you grew up in neighborhood such and such and whoopty whoop, and you was whoopty whoop and whoopty whoop. I understand that, but this ain't the time for that. Cause we need to lock in and get this money, bro. Your emotional shit that you got beefing with another nigga, we ain't got time for that. I need you to lock in right now. Calm your shit down. Be stoic. Be smart. Learn your fucking craft so we can do something better than what you doing right now. Cause niggas whoopty whooping on the block ain't doing nothing right now.
that has to come from a place. Now, homie was talking about, you know what I'm saying, be calm, right? Be calm. That level of cultural connectivity has to come from a silent place. That has to be, it has to be that very same emotional and connection that has you put down your plate at the barbecue when a certain song come on. You know what I mean? It's got to be like that. Now that only comes from a people being able to be with one another, despite no matter what their ebbs, you know, and flow is, and their loss and their gains, and whatever could be their preferred style of presentation as opposed to that which is their most opposed, right? The thing is, Pilgrims, Pleasantville, they use their niggers, if you will. You know what I'm saying? They work with them. They work with those Peckerwoods and Redneck and Hillbillies and all the rest of whatever they want to call them. Because Peckerwood is a Pilgrim name. That's a white name for them. We adopted that. But all they got a list of pejoratives of how they'll declare one another to be, I guess, upon their own cultural distaste or whatever, and still work with one another based off of another cultural ethos.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
We ain't defined that for us yet. We just ain't defined that for us.
So basically, we still in the mindset of all of us want to be chiefs.
Yes. Everybody want to be the head nigga in charge. Everybody. Nobody want to serve. Nobody want to serve. Nobody want to receive instruction and command. But they could do so at the hand of another motherfucker's military.
Yeah.
Going all about the world, doing
though.
all that mega murdering and that mega murder Butler style.
And that's
I'd have been in
that's
them
what I'm
ranks.
saying. That right there is what I'm saying. Because in those environments that you're talking about, they have no problem when the general comes in, when the big homie come in, they have no problem bowing to the big homie. So I don't agree with that. I think that I think that black people are willing to play their role, if they're willing to commit to whatever the cause may be.
But most
Well,
of
not
that,
all black people are beholden to that type of social hierarchy of potentially having a big homie. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's
No,
quite
that's
particular.
not true. That's not true. Because even in the entrepreneur, in the corporate space, most of these people have mentors. They have somebody that they pay to give them game. They have somebody that they're giving money to tell them how to make more money or to get tax cuts or whatever. So they're willing to sit down and bow down to the mentor, which would then be the big homie.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
but
want to
that's
put
like a
another
certain
level?
level of a black person you're talking about. If you're talking about like going back to the streets or the hood or whatever you're talking about at the lower tier, they only respect materialistic shit.
Yeah.
They only respect
That's
materialistic
what making the big homie.
car,
Not because they got the wisdom.
yeah,
Because they can
only
get
respect
something from.
materialistic shit, bro. So it's like,
But they look like they something.
yeah, everybody ain't gonna make it, man. Everybody ain't gonna make it. You know what I mean? It's
Oh,
like,
I know that to be 100%. I don't give a fuck about convincing anybody that ain't trying to do what I'm talking about. Whenever I be talking, I'm talking to people that's trying to either move the way that I'm moving or understand how I'm moving. Because I know that there are because I talk to these young bulls, man. I be outside. My daughter is a teenager right now, and I'm talking to these teenagers because I'm trying to figure out how they mind is working so I can know how to talk to her about dating. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking to these young bulls, and they want to do whatever. They willing to follow whoever. But the problem is, for one, the biggest thing that a lot of these young dudes is telling me is that we don't have any consistency.
what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so a prime example is there's three dudes that I was talking to at the high school that I used to go to, and he was telling me all the time about, yo, I would have these OGs or these big homies, and I'd be talking to them, or they pop up or they show up. Like one of y'all said, coaches. I have a coach or something like that, and he'd fuck with me for a little while, but then he stopped fucking with me. Like 2 months in, he stopped fucking with me, or 2 weeks in, I ain't getting the game no more, and he ain't fucking like we don't be consistent. And I think the problem is the fact that sometimes we forget that these young bulls are young bulls. Like, you're talking to a 15-year-old. Sometimes he's not gonna do what you're telling him to do, and the problem that they have is when they don't do what we're telling them to do, we stop fucking with them instead of being consistent and continuing to work with them. So the shit that we saying right now, these 5 things that this pilgrim is saying are things that can apply to work, but we not consistent giving it to them because these dudes don't know about being calm because all they know is the block. All they know is put
But
their
you don't
foot
stop
to ass.
listening. You don't stop listening. The culture, look, this was the culture of getting game back in the day. Shut the fuck up and pay attention. Don't ask me
That's
shit.
not-
No, hear me out.
man,
Hear me
you've
out.
been
Hear me out. Let me
17
land my plane. Let me
before.
land my plane.
That's,
Let me land
that's
my
not gonna
plane.
work. That's not gonna work today.
Let me land my plane. The thing was, they forced you to sit in silence and pay attention. Of course you were going to inevitably ask some questions, but they had to first make sure that you were soaking adequately. If you weren't soaking and you just fucking playing around, they ain't finna waste their time with you.
Yeah,
They ain't finna waste their time. They ain't finna. You feel me? Go ahead.
I did that dude, and he like 26, and I spent the hour. I spent the hour outside charging my Tesla with my wife in the car, and I spent the hour outside trying to give him game, open up. Here's a couple books. Just let them know, hey, at 26, you African, you single, you just got out of college, and you got debt. You don't need to be buying a house or apartment. Stay with your mom and dad. You know what I mean? Because African culture, they stick together. Don't worry about buying that new car. You got a Corolla. Like, stop trying to shine in your 20s. And I'm just telling them this, and it took an hour. And the true story, like, we talking, we rapping, and I finally got comfortable telling them, like, hey man, like, what you want ain't on shit, because this don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? So I was willing to lose that friendship by giving him the correct game. And true story, I don't take the whole thing. But during Easter, I put on my Instagram, hey man, I don't really celebrate Easter. I put it on my story. I don't celebrate Easter. It's pagan. I mean, if you still doing that, that's on you. But as a Black American, it's all pagan, man. And I don't want to do none of that. This dude, the same post, gonna wish me happy Easter after he done saw the post. testing you. You know what I mean? Ignorant. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
bro,
He an ignorant young bull.
I
He an
said-
ignorant young bull.
but he African though. So you can't just say ignorant YN. So he should have some type of morals and standards of how to act. He went in the streets. He graduated college. He's in the fraternity. And I said, hey, bro, lose my number, bro. Like lose my number, because I'm not trying to have that energy around me. Because once you don't already try to give somebody the game and they steady trying to test you, I know old school up there will let you know, like, man, sometimes niggas gonna have to check your chin.
Yeah, cuz, what you talking about? That's when you get yoked against the wall. What the fuck you think this
bro.
is?
I'm not here to play with, and a lot
Ain't
of
nobody to play with you.
a lot of these dudes in their 20s and their 30s, like me and you, I'm 33, you 32 or 34, right? We're not used to getting checked like that. So them so them younger niggas ain't used to getting punched in their chest when you say something smart and shit. I ain't
Step
got
out of
time
pocket.
Yeah, I ain't got time for all that. You know what I mean? So, because I know you may come with a switch or come with something, and I ain't trying to have that energy around me. So I don't think it's necessary for us to constantly keep trying to get a dude to get on point of, I'm trying to help you to benefit your life, not my life, your life. Just don't make the same mistakes I did. I'm trying to tell you, watch out for these pits.
That's it. These are pitfalls. These are the
And a lot
pitfalls. You don't want to believe it? I gotta watch you crash.
Yeah,
I gotta watch you crash.
Exactly. And they come with the whole, my little brother did this at 21, at 19. Oh, I'm young, I got time. I'm like, no, you don't got time, bro. You don't have time. Because I wish I was doing this 3 years ago. I'd be perfect right now. Set up. You don't have time. So I hear what you're saying, 100. But I see these dudes putting in so many hours watching streamers and doing other shit that don't benefit them, to where it's kind of hard to give them the benefit of the doubt when you really trying to put them on game. Because people our age, our parents, Gen Xers, weren't telling us to read a book, weren't telling us to understand this stock or what Warren Buffett's doing. So we trying to give them the game that we wish we would have been taught. It's kind of like, bro, you're going to have to survive on your own. You're going to have to swim.
And you don't want that.
You know what? In this conversation, talking to y'all, I will definitely concede and say that I understand what y'all saying.
Yeah.
Right. Me, the speaking that I'm doing is coming from the perspective of, I'm also coming from the perspective of thinking about when I was in high school, and a lot of what I needed at that time, nobody was around. Yeah. Like there wasn't anybody that was consistent with talking to me. Because the thing is, so my mother and my father ended up splitting up, right? So my father wasn't around the way that I needed to. And then any of the dudes that my mother was interacting with, I couldn't, like, bro, you trying to fuck my moms. I can't with you, bro. Like you trying to fuck my mother. So now in my brain, like, you just trying to tell me some shit so you can go lay down on a pillow with my mama and be like, yeah, I talked to your son today and I told him about some man shit. Like, nah, bro, fuck you. So I couldn't receive that. So in terms of like coaches, mentors, big homies, OGs, there was nobody consistently around to give me any information that I really needed when it comes to finances, dealing with women, controlling my emotions, because I was an angry little motherfucker when I was in high school. Yeah. And we just be ready to just be like, you know what? Fuck you, young bull. I'm cool. Go do what the fuck, crash out then, little nigga. And that is part of the problem. And we are repeating exactly what the boomers did if we keep going down this fucking track.
But hold on, wait a minute. The thing is, you have to be willing to receive the light that someone is potentially giving you. Yeah. I wanted to ask y'all, how young were you that you can remember?
We're expecting kids to be that way. I'm sorry, I have to disagree with this. I'm gonna tell you a quick story of why I disagree with this, because I made this mistake. Was on duty, got a call on a missing boy, went and took the report. He wound up finding him, talking to the kid. He's a smart kid, he's bright, but he's having some behavioral issues. Talking to him. Some of the stuff I'm saying is getting through to him. I'm gonna find out he wants to be a firefighter. Cool. Had a buddy. I said, yo, what you doing right now? He's at the firehouse literally around the corner. He said nothing. So I'm gonna bring somebody to come by the firehouse. Took the kid to the firehouse, let him walk through. They gave him a whole tour, the whole nine, right? Brought him back. I said, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna come and check on you in a week. He said, all right, cool. I didn't go back in a week, right? I don't know if I just forgot about it or whatever the case may be. I'm sitting in my cruiser. His address pops up for a DV, right? So obviously I go, oh shit, I know that house, right? Let me go over there. First thing that kid said to me when I walked in is, you ain't come and check on me. First thing out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And I learned right then and there, a lot of these kids are looking for consistency and they're not getting it from us. That's the first thing out of his mouth to me was, you said you was gonna come check on me in a week. You never came back to come check on me. So he's having this behavioral outburst.
They're not
Right.
getting it from their daddy. They coaches nobody.
Right. He's having this behavioral outburst again. And I learned right then and there. So even now when I'm mentoring the kids, I have to be a man of my word. If I say I'm gonna do something, I have to be consistent and do it because these kids are holding me to that.
Yeah.
They may act tough. They may act like, oh nah, man, this, yeah. They may do all of that. I've been called every name in the book, but I keep showing up. I keep showing up every week, keep showing up. And now I got young kids, 13, 14, going to their mothers, going to their uncles, going to their aunties saying, hey, can you open me a custodial account so I can start to invest some of my money in stocks? It's a huge win for me because we went from getting kids that didn't know anything about stocks to now opening up accounts and manage the money they make over the summer in stocks. So I just disagree a little bit on the fact of if they ain't getting it, they ain't getting it. I think sometimes we got to push through that. I know that's hard because we got our own family. I got 2 kids myself. We got our own families. We got our own things going on right in life. And everybody is dealing with the economics of the country right now. I get it. But I'll never forget that kid because he didn't say hello. He didn't say F you or whatever, which I don't hear. The first thing out of his mouth was, you said you was going to come check on me and you didn't come check on me.
But there was,
And I felt like shit, bro. I really did. I felt like shit. I was like, damn, he really literally checked me. And it was on my body camera too. He literally checked me and he was right. He was absolutely right. I said I was gonna check on him. I didn't check on him. So here we are. We back at square one. You know what I mean?
Are you still in that field?
No, I left. I left after COVID. I didn't like how they were doing COVID. So I left. They were trying to make me get the jab, and I was like, nah.
If I was still in that field or in a big church where I had to, because when I was in high school, I had a guy in church was a mentor to me. His name is Derek, a firefighter. So I seen that and he was consistent. If I was in that field, I would be super consistent. So I don't know what age you guys are talking about, but if I was like a guidance counselor or a police officer or a firefighter, yeah, I do desire to have that time to do that to where I can help somebody younger. But I mean, me as the professional I'm in, I don't really have that much time to have people around me, around my age or younger, on some foolish stuff.
The thing is, this is supposed to be coming from a culture, right? Yeah. It's not supposed to be coming from a singular source or even an outer source, really. You know what I'm saying? If there's an outer source, it's supposed to be something that is well connected, just along in the same line of how people perceive discipline back in certain times as being a quality discipline being as if a child would potentially receive some corporal punishment, elsewhere outside the household. You know what I'm saying? You didn't get whooped by somebody, you got whooped before your mama got home, your dad got home and all that. Well, that's because we had cultural connection of what was considered perceivably as a higher desired qualitative state for social order, social character. We're not connected like that. We're more connected like that in the past than we are now. We're nowhere near connected like that now. We're even further removed from that. So to say that, all right, yeah, I can understand putting it upon yourself. I think being the example, you know what I'm saying, we're somewhat regulated to being the example before we can have some type of effort to recreate such a standard as a cultural fixture within our community. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for us to have the randomness of the individuality and one taking, you know what I'm saying, upon their own arbitrary intention. You know what I'm talking about? Just to do the goodness for goodness sake. You know what I mean? But it's like, nah, it's very particular with us as a people. And if we don't look at it from that perspective, we're never going to solve it. Always going to be, you know what I'm saying, trying to run up and play catch up.
You ever learn? You've been around the way, right? You've been around the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
You ever learn anything from a crackhead? You ain't never had a crackhead just come and talk to you and be like, damn, that makes sense.
Not just come and talk. Well, I mean, okay, look, not necessarily just a crackhead, somebody under the influence or something, because they was on all kind of shit. The thing is,
but you get what I'm saying though.
yeah, I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I'm not going to deny a crackhead as having some nuggets of wisdom, cuz, you know what I'm saying? They ain't always been on that shit.
Look, to me, I think it is. I think stepping outside of your box to try and talk to somebody that isn't in your responsibility, it's uncomfortable. It's weird. The shit, like, I don't have any responsibility to you. You got a mama and a daddy, like that make it easy to just not do it. You know what I'm
Why would you
saying?
say it's uncomfortable? What could be the uncomfortable thing?
And I think he
Because
I think he muted that point by him saying, son, saying it's about actions. It's about actions, because somebody can be looking at you, your neighbor down the street, 5 houses down the street, and he see you, get up to go to work, go running outside, or he sees you walking with your wife and kids, he's like, man, I want to be like that with my wife. You know what I mean? It's not like you got to know everybody, like he just said, like Son said. It's not an individual, but it's more of a collective, and like examples you see, because actions do speak louder than words. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I can definitely understand.
I'm not against talking to anybody. I'm not against talking. I'm not against talking. I'm not against lacing. I'm not against, potentially trying to be a moment of clarity for one who might be lacking that, right? You know what I'm saying? Young boy, young girl, whatever. You know what I mean? My thing is it's always best to be the example, though, as opposed to try to instruct. With where our community is now, the instruction is supposed to come from the household. If it ain't coming from the household, potentially, it helps to have a healthy coagulation of community, potentially neighborhood or whatever. If you can't get that, then, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's limiting, though.
It's very limiting, but that's why I say we're dealing with a very exclusive situation where it's more like a meniscus style of injury that we're dealing with these social decays and with these arrested development of undesired characters and shit. We've dealt with a social erosion to a level that where we shouldn't. That's why I ask people. If we were looking at this from a level of gangrene, right? How much of the percentage of the black body, if you will, we can put, anthropomorphize all of the attributes that we wish to be better, but we can acknowledge that, okay, they're having some element of illness, and that illness being gangrene, and understanding what the property of gangrene actually does. How much of a loss are we saying that we're identifying? Well, we lost a finger, all the way up to the wrist. Maybe the elbow. Maybe we start at the leg.
I mean, you might have to do like soul food and go from the knee down.
Potentially, cuz potentially. Oh, I don't know where we're at now towards where I think the phrase "old nigga" killed it. I think that shows you that it's done. You're not gonna be receptive to no one who's where you are, where you wish to be, seasoned in what you're going to encounter, if you already from the gate are denying them having any value just merely due to age or something like that.
So the one you're speaking to that would refer to one as an old nigga is a product of the environment that came from, yes?
Oh, definitely. So definitely
So now
social
the
conditions.
goal
Not just the environment that
now-
they came from, but also other outer factors.
So now the goal is to reteach and relearn a lot of what it is that this motherfucker is carrying right now.
No, not at that age. No, you can only work with the younger generations. You can't once that seed has sprouted. That's the way it's going to grow. That's the inertia that it's taking on. It was Frederick Douglass said it best. You can't hold up. I got the saying right here. Hold up, cuz.
As he looks for that, I think what he's saying is like, because our age, man, it's kind of hard for an older dude that I don't see in a marriage, and that he's the man of his household to give me game when it comes to like relationship. Because I've seen older dudes just not have a hold on their household. Everything was ran by a woman. So if you're not married as an older man, black man, and you ain't been married for a quite period of time, and I don't see you being the leader of that household, because I can see she running over you, kind of hard for me to listen to you.
Okay, but that same man that you're talking about, he can sit. I'd be willing to sit down and listen to him tell me about, you know what, this is what I did is to fuck shit up. This is why I wasn't able to maintain that. This is where I failed as a man. This is why I wasn't able to maintain that relationship. This is where I failed as a man. I'm
saying he's still in it, but the baby boomers was talking about put that first and her happiness, happy wife, happy life type shit. That shit don't work like that. That's not a successful relationship at all. You know what I mean? It even says that in the Bible, like, bro, like, man's supposed to be leader of the household. So what I'm saying, from me being 33, you 32, right? 91, 92. I done seen a lot of older black men married put themselves underneath the woman just to keep her happy. So
I misunderstood what you said.
Yeah, so some things, like you said, it's actions more than words. So just because he's older than me, married, I got to see what dynamic he's in for me to really receive that. You know what I mean? That information or game that he's talking about to me. So it's examples, man. It's really.
I will definitely not contest that actions mean more than anything. Yeah. Like you can tell me anything, but yes, I do need to see certain things. So when you said young people being materialistic, I don't think it's necessarily like I need to see you in a Benz or I need to see you driving a Porsche. It's just I need to be able to see you materializing something in your life. Like, are you still living in a 2-bedroom apartment, or do you have a home? Like, are you like the fucking hoopty that you drive, and is it paid off, or are you still paying on? Like, I don't think materialistically it has to be the flashy stuff. It just has to be a matter of what are you producing, and that is a matter of action. What have you produced to be able to tell me the shit that you're telling me right now?
But you're talking character, though. You're talking You're talking the intention to have a quality character development. To measure by any to measure by any of that right there is feministic right from the jump.
Exactly.
You're measuring somebody. You're measuring a motherfucker the way that a chick would measure. What do your expenses look like? What it all? It's like, wait a minute, that doesn't attest to the quality of one's character. It just shows that you can have your finances, your finances and your career in order for you to be able to, you know what I'm saying, accumulate that which is materially identified as being valuable. You can still be a piece of shit, though.
Yeah, because he could be driving to work in a beater Honda, but Lord behold, he may have a GT3 911 in the garage.
Yeah.
What's up, my nigga? Because he's trying to tell me about finances, and I'm gonna dismiss him because he's driving a 93 Accord. I done missed the boat.
Yeah.
No. And that's the thing. It's about having a conversation about what you've produced. Just because he drives the Honda doesn't mean that I'm going to dismiss what he's saying. If I'm talking to a man about business, about finance, and he tells me that, yo, I drive this 93 Honda because I invest all my money in the business and this is what I have done, I'm willing to listen to that. Because just because somebody's driving a BMW doesn't mean that I'm about to take game from them. Because they could be driving a BMW paying $4,000 a month for that motherfucker.
The reason I said that was because the generation under us, Watts, they only pay attention to the materialistic stuff. They can't get past what you have on, what you wearing. They can't. We probably could. Millennial, we probably could. But the younger generation that you keep saying we have to stay consistent, they're not going to pay attention to nothing unless they see you with it on. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying they'll miss everything. That's what the social conditioning has been. Let me ask y'all something. How young were you when you tried to talk to somebody about sagging, right? Or has somebody, being millennials, anybody tried to talk to y'all about sagging? Y'all was sagging before, and what was that experience like? You know what I'm saying?
being talked to about sagging, or if you try to talk to a young about, you know what I'm saying, sagging their pants, you know what I'm saying, below their ass and shit.
I never was a sagger. I never was a sagger.
Yeah, that shit was goofy as hell.
Yeah, I never was a sagger.
You feel me?
Yeah, I never.
That shit was always goofy.
Even in high school, I never was a sagger, bro. I was an athlete. I never was a sagger in school, or
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Whenever.
So hold on. So like as we get older, 30s, so sagging to us wouldn't even be sagging. We just wear oversized stuff now, but it's still not sagging. You know what I mean? So if we're going for baggy look, we'll go like how y'all was with the Tommy Hilfigers. That's what's coming around with us. So we never really was a sagger because we don't. I mean, I'm sure we don't gangbang. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. It didn't come from cats in the street tribe. That shit came from dudes who was locked up 75 in the late 70s, and they were released mid 80s to late 80s, and they had been socially distant to the point of never wearing the belt. You can't have a belt when you're, you know what I'm saying, in there. And so as children, I was, you know what I'm saying, 7-year-olds, 8-year-old, still attached to the black cultural perspective behind it. Like, hey, nigga, what you got your drawers out for? Everybody can see your drawers. Like, no grown man, no black boy would ever be seen showing they drawers. That was something that, you know what I'm saying, that was cultural. And then it just inevitably. Go ahead.
That same conversation you talking about, it evolved from you showing your drawers to how you gonna run away from the police with your pants down like that.
Well, we was always thinking that before. You know what I'm saying? If you claim to be locked up and everything, you ain't gonna be locked up carrying your Mac like that.
you cannot square up with your pants at your knees, dog. You can't.
You can't.
There's no way.
I'm stepping right on your crotch, sending you right to your face and to this knee. Bam.
I don't think
One
Tommy,
think
my man, what's up, big dog?
Oh, yeah, I'm the alien that actually sagged. So imagine that somebody actually did it. But
how old was you? How old was you when you stopped sagging?
I mean, I think it depends on what you call sagging, because I don't think generally we wear our pants exactly like. Is you niggas wearing your pants up to your belly button?
No.
Generally, when you wear your pants, some of your drawers is gonna be showing. Now, of course, your ass crack ain't gonna be out, but generally, when we like our fathers didn't grow up with any of their underwear showing at all. The reason why they started putting the labels on top of the underwear is because we started wearing them to where that actually showed. So if your pants ain't essentially right below your belly button, you're doing a version of sagging. It's not
No,
like
your pants was always on your waist, not your belly button.
It's
on your waist.
Look how far your waist is from your belly button.
Yeah, because these chicks that wear they shit on their motherfucking belly button. Nigga, what the fuck you talking about?
Well, no, they should be over their belly button. They should be looking. That's that. I forgot what they call that style. But
you probably niggas was doing that, cuz.
No, nigga, that's what the squares they used to wear their motherfucking shirts inside of their pants, tucked inside their pants and shit. Like they shit. Well, the way that we saw it, they shit used to be hiked up. So I don't know, maybe because we wore our shit lower, it seemed like it was harder than it was. But like I said, even now when I wear my pants, they generally, I mean, like I said, I don't think I wear my pants today the way that, like I said, I would see like those cats that came to school and their shit was tucked in. You know what I'm saying? Again, my ass.
When I'm talking about sagging, I'm talking about motherfuckers that walk around holding up the hem of their fucking pants, whether they got a belt on, drawstring, or whatever, and they below their ass like them motherfuckers done had to go shit.
Evolution of sagging. That's the evolution of sagging. Because see, remember when we sagged, essentially you could let your pants go and they'll stop itself, and that's kind of where it stopped. These kids then got it to where, like you said, they damn near to their knees. But technically, the way that we sagged, it wasn't crazy like what they do these days. Like weirdly, I've seen niggas our age adjust to what they do now, and it's the weirdest shit in the world to me. Like your entire pants just below your ass cheeks, pause. Like that shit is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I think
so you never had the talk. Have you? So you never had the sagging talk with a younger cat?
Not really, only because like for me, I think a lot of the stuff that you go through as a youngster is just stuff you go through as a youngster. I try to stray away from because here's the crazy part. When I was in the military, right, and I'm like 20, 21 or whatever, and we sagging, they made a whole deal about it. I don't know if y'all remember how the skateboarders used to sag, but those were the original ones. They used to sag their shit way down. They didn't say a fucking thing to them white boys. Like they didn't say shit to them.
Skateboarders just wore baggy shit, cuz
You're
I'm a
baggy
former
clothes.
skateboarder.
Yeah,
Skateboarders
but
wasn't
they
you
also
can't
sag too.
sag you
But
can't
he,
sag on your deck
Listen,
trying to do some triple disasters and shit,
we
cuz.
watched these niggas get off the boat, bro. I'm telling you, they was fucking
Word.
sagging, and it fucked us up because we we trying to be on some Playboy shit. We in polo shirts and shit. Like we actually, like we ain't even big tees and shit, and they was on
Yeah.
us because your pants was too baggy. And we looking at skateboarders who they got them pants look like parachutes damn near. They so baggy. And they just let them get off the quarter deck. We like so for me like it'd be hard for me sometimes because I'm like I don't like telling people to adjust to what white people are comfortable with. If you out there and you wear your pants a little bit lower and you ain't hurt nobody, you ain't bothering nobody, then for me it is what it is. To me, you'll grow out of it. And I
You
don't know
think it's
that.
chiefly pilgrims that got fucking that take umbrage to black people sagging? They ain't got no
Well, it,
problem
it
with
it
that.
depends on how low you go. Like if I see one of the ones like how we see today, I'll be like, bruh, like because I don't even like nigga. It's below your ass cheeks. Like y'all said, how do you even maneuver like this? You know what I'm saying? But you have some of because when we grew up, the little bit of sagging we did, they fucking heads blew up. Oh my god, nobody want to see your underwear. Duh, duh. So I mean, that's always gonna be there. But um, and I'm not saying even my approach is even the right way. I'm just saying that's just because a lot like for some reason everything that black people do, it got to be an issue with, and that shit kind of irks me. Like JT had put a post on Facebook and it was this kid at graduation and he did a dance and then the principal kind of like checked him and made him go back and walk up and that shit kind of irked me because I'm like this nigga's at graduation, he's celebrating his accomplishment. The only reason you feel a way about that is because white folks won't see it and ain't gonna like it. This nigga wasn't hurt
Okay.
nobody, he wasn't doing a gang dance, he wasn't throwing up gang signs, he literally did a little dance on his way to get his diploma, and that was a problem. And for me, I look at that, I'm like, bro, I don't think we always got to fucking, try to fit in this box that these people. We're different. We maneuver different. If I'm not hurting nobody, leave me the fuck alone.
Well, true that. I
Like,
mean,
but
the pilgrims don't really matter like that until you make them matter. The thing
yeah,
is, my thing is okay. So the reason why I asked if you ever had the conversation
mhm,
is the start of it is what it is, right?
yeah,
The culture of it is what it is prior to it becoming fashion or whatever.
yeah, 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 yeah,
There is still a community sentiment that is anchored and rooted in a cultural foundation from far back, simply
yeah, yeah,
because black culture or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
The thing is with the younger generations, they're more acclimated to what is perceived as being permissible by everything outside of black culture,
yeah,
and
yeah,
not to be beholden by any principle of black culture. So this is also what makes it difficult in order to deliver that game as well that
yeah,
100
yeah.
Watts is talking about. You know what I'm saying?
E-
The the younger generations are more into peer to peer engagement as
yeah.
opposed to, what I'm saying, being able to be receptive enough to receive some game from those who, what I'm saying, got that silver mane or is
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
where you want to be.
yeah. Well, I think our generation might have been the one that kind of that kind of started that only because I say this a lot. A lot of them niggas lied. A lot of them niggas romanticized they come up. A lot of them niggas romanticized what was going on when they came up. And our generation called them out on them lies. And um I think that kind of created kind of like an atmosphere of because before our generation, like you could never stand up to your elders. What they said went and it was what it was. But with our generation, like we're look like I remember when I came on the show one time, BLM show one time, and they was having a conversation, and one of the guys was like, "Yeah, man, like you got to have a nice car these days to get a girl." My nigga, my dad was candy painting his Mustangs, and it definitely wasn't for the niggas. Then I think
For
one cat
real.
was like, "Yeah, because I could be riding down the street with my girl with her on my handlebars." And I said, "And if I pull up in my 6'8" Stang, she hopping off your fucking bike and getting in my car. Why are y'all acting like this is something brand new, bro? Them girls wasn't they wasn't like this is nature. This ain't I don't even think they wrong for it. It's fucking nature. Am I gonna ride on
Real
this nigga
talk.
handlebars? And I'm about to go hop in this thing with this AC. Like, what are we talking about? But the older generation was so used to pushing these fucking lies that they damn near start believing them shits. And then little by
Mm.
little, you start chipping away with it, and now we got the internet, so now we can really expose the bullshit. Look at what just happened with the Freaknik. All of these women was trying to talk about the younger girls and all of that. Now you trying to hide your videos from Freaknik because you was out there doing the same shit you trying to down these girls from doing.
People in
You know what I'm
But
government.
saying? So
this is
Females in
what this
government.
is why we run into these issues. It's no
yeah,
different. It's no different from when they first said about hip hop when hip hop started, and people was thinking that it's going to be a fad. The
yeah, it's a
reason why
fact.
people
Yeah,
thought hip hop was going to be a fad was because all black people wasn't rocking with it.
yeah,
Black people was the first people I ever heard referred to as hip hop as nigga shit. It was
yeah.
it was
Ain't
it
and not
was
surprising.
yeah. So the thing
Yeah,
is though, but they would say that not understanding that okay, that's still in the same lineage of I guess you could say like blue comedy back in the day. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Red Fox, Richard Pryor.
yeah,
If y'all get a chance and you listen to any of those so-called party records,
yeah.
cuz that was thugging before thugging was thugging. That
No,
was
no.
ratchet before ratchet
Listen,
was ratchet.
that's what
LaWanda Page.
that's when I found out about the lies because when they used to talk about our music and we didn't listen to that type of stuff. And then I remember my auntie came over one time. She was cleaning, and I heard one of the records, and I was like, "Wait, they talk like that? Y'all motherfuckers be lying. Y'all like they acted like their music was so pure. All they talked about was love and this and that. Man, y'all was talking about eating coochie in them records. I heard it with my own ears. I was like, yo, this is it blew my head because I'm like, again, all you hear from them is the good from when they came up. I was fortunate that with my pops, like he gave me the good, bad, and the ugly. He still lied about. He still kind of romanticized some of his to come up, but for the most part, he gave me the good, bad, and the ugliest shit.
You
But
got to
I
make it
do
sound good, man. That's just we are some storytellers, all right?
no,
You
but
know what I'm saying?
listen,
We
it's
world's
the
best
difference
storytellers.
between when you're making it sound good and when you're
Yeah.
making it sound good to down the new generation, and that's my problem. I fight with
Yeah.
people in our generation about that all the time because I'm like, yo. Y'all talking about how wild these kids is, nigga. We was born in the early '90s. It don't get no wilder than that.
It was straight up wild. It
It
was, you
was
know what I'm saying? It was sick.
wild.
It was sick witted. That's where sick witted comes from.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's where a big part of the disconnect come in at is when you start telling these fairy tales, and then I think you're kind of leaning on the fact that they're not old enough. Which, like I said, with the internet these days, they can call your cat, but you're leaning on the
Right.
fact that they not old enough to find out that you kind of putting a little bit of sugar on your story, and then they go on the
Already.
internet and they find some shit that you cap, and now I'm looking at you sideways like, what are you talking about? Because you're down to me for the very thing that you was doing at my age. Um,
But the thing is, we come right back to the overall key denominator of it. The overall perceived key denominator is honesty.
yeah,
That's why
100%. Yeah,
that's the issue with the boomers.
yeah,
I felt they wasn't being honest with us of prepping us for exactly what it is that we were going to have to endure. So it's like if they'd been a lot more culturally honest, then we would have been a lot more prepared to be able to pass down that preparation, as
100%.
opposed to trying to hit the ground running with each new fresh generation. Once you know what I'm saying, once they really get out to the world, they're like, oh my God, what is this? What is this? I didn't know it was like this. Oh, okay. That's why they took the moral stance, you know what I'm saying, that they were taking, as opposed to as Trey was presenting, like, look, these people work off of power. They operate off of power. That's why Dr. Amos Wilson is my most favorite teacher. He was pro-black and all that, and he was a Pan-Africanist and all that, but even more so, he was understanding that, look, we must develop power because you are interacting socially with these groups from power bases, not merely from cultural basis, not merely from a social basis. Power. And when we start talking about the development of power community wise, familial wise, people start getting shaky. They start getting quaky. Not only just black people, but also black people.
Yeah, that's kind of what I seen. Growing up, a lot of boomers. I feel like they've always talked about race of black and white and why you can't do something and what's stopping you. And I've always was like, nah, that's not it. So then when I finally get older and see it, and then even the term Watts will understand, like grown folk business is fucking gossip. It's like, man, y'all done lie to whole lot.
Yeah.
Or y'all couldn't even come together and help grandma out or just get together. Like I don't see no white person stopping y'all from just getting the small community together or coming together. And that's when I'm like, y'all lied about a lot of things. I gotta read to find out.
So wait, I gotta stop you there because I gotta be fair now. They do come from a generation that we can't possibly understand because they was from a generation where white people literally will take your shit. They came from a generation where they was promised GI bills,
Yeah.
they was promised VA loans, and white people literally told them to their face, nah, that's out. So it's a different mindset
So why couldn't they prep for that then? Why the fuck couldn't they prep the younger generations for that? This is the social situation that you're dealing with, and these are these people. They lied to themselves about white people forever in the fucking, and they lied to themselves about the United States of these murder clans forever in the fucking day, and put us out here for the fucking wolves while the rest of the world is here to eat on top of us. And they won't even tell us. They didn't even fucking tell us that. Just go, sticks and stones may break your bones, and education is the way, and all this shit. It's like, nah, we need that on top of other things.
I understand that, and back to what Tommy said, I understand like there were pitfalls and obstacles to get it to where we couldn't get that. What I'm saying to add on to that is we have black family members that couldn't get along.
For sure,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but
you find out that your mom and your auntie don't even get along over some small stupid dude situation that was like from, you know what I mean? Go
ahead. And not to like try to make excuses for it, but we always got to fall back on this is like we are damaged people, right? Like just off the get off. And I tell people this all the time. Like the Civil Rights Bill was signed 18 years before I was born. Not 100, not 200, 18 years before I was born. I'm only 42. Yeah. So a lot, because I've been having this conversation with my pops about just a lot of the trauma shit that, remember, trauma is a new word for us right now. Like this is like brand new. When I was coming up, I remember I was in elementary school. We seen one of our classmates get hit by a car and dragged down the street. They didn't have motherfuckers at the school the next day to talk to us. We just came back to school the next day. So I'm saying that to say, like my grandparents moved out to Cali from Louisiana from the bullshit. I had my grandfather's brother. This is in the 2000s. Was still scared to sit in a restaurant full of white people. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, these people that were traumatized like that were raising kids who turned out to be our fathers, uncles, aunties, yada yada yada. So when we having these conversations, we also got to remember that us as a people are fucked up, and it's not our fault that we're fucked up. And
but can we also sorry to cut you off? And Son may agree with me because from seeing how he's talking and his whole attitude and mood. Can you also say that trying to sit with white folks and getting in a restaurant with white folks wasn't the move? It shouldn't have been the right move.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. It wasn't that he was trying to. What I'm saying is he feared going to an IHOP if it was hella white people there. I'm not talking about it was his. I'm saying he was traumatized so much in Louisiana that even in the 2000s, he still had a fear of white folks. So I was just saying that just to say the amount of trauma they was dealing with. Okay. You get what I'm saying? And so a lot of times when we talk about our people, and this is what irks me about, and I ain't gonna say no names, but certain people in these spaces that get to talk about our people is you want to throw away the fact that we're traumatized people. And the funny part that I talk to people, I was literally just having this conversation with people. when people talk about our worst of the worst, we have a history to go back that can kind of trace to how we got to where we're at. How come I can find that in every other race too? How come I
Mm-hmm.
can find Asian gangbangers? They ain't went through what the fuck we went through in this country. Why can I find white folks acting the same way that we act? They ain't went through what we went through in this country. Samoan, like I can find every race that literally acts the exact same the way we act, and we got to that point from the bullshit that we went through. And
Yeah.
and a lot of these weirdos like to think slavery's the only fucking sin that happened in this country. That ain't it, bro. It was a whole lot more. Niggas need to read their history book. So all I'm saying is, I, I I got to a point, especially like with my mom and them and dad and them generation, that I had to kind of also take into account that they were growing up in a time where trauma wasn't even looked at or spoken about or dealt with.
Nope.
And
Yeah.
so you had a lot of people that was dealing with a lot of bullshit that nowadays we're sitting in doctor's offices for.
Yeah.
They just had to live life and deal with it. So I think that so when you start talking about like the families fighting amongst each other and stuff like that, I think we got to take that into account because there wasn't no conflict resolution when it was coming up. It was you got me fucked up, and that's how you dealt with it until y'all got over it type shit.
I think when you because I know about the whole Samoans and Tongans warfare. You know what I mean? Grew up in the West Coast and stuff, and other cultures how they have inner fighting and beef and what they go through in games. I know this word was being thrown around in the whole space years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, man. We just don't know how to get on code. We don't know how to get on code to where like we can see the forest beyond the trees.
The code is supposed to be. This is why I have my name as Black Supremacy 101. I've been a supremacist since I was elementary school kid. Nobody told me nothing. My family ain't think like this. My neighborhood ain't think like this. None of that. It's just personal. I just did my own assessment of the quality of our culture, and I took into consideration all of the unnecessary sabotage that Black people were beholden to. You know what I'm saying? At the hands of other people, other cultures, you know what I'm saying? This government, this whole ass government, this place. It's like, all right, then wait a minute. Most Black people don't want revenge. Most Black people don't, you know what I'm saying, ain't really got vengeance in their heart. Everything about them was, we can love our way there, or we can morally affect the situation towards where it is more beneficial for our desired result. And it's like, well, no, that's it. And you still get the fight as if you're saying, hey, you know what I'm saying, kill all white people, fuck America, and all this whole shit. It's like, okay, you know what? Nah, their issue with us is us. It's not an intention of ours. It's not anything that we could potentially be perceived of being accused of by them. It's just the fact of us being us. What is it about us? It's a qualitative shifting that happened within us. To me, I say these motherfuckers fuck around and created a diamond race of a people with all those social ills, social pressures, with all of the surgical way of motion, movement, thinking, and all that we had to do, the resilience, the ease of creation, the ease of innovation, all of that. Okay, you fuck around, you made the world's best people, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Doomsdaying your ass to death. And now you don't want us to claim it. Black people don't like claiming that. Black people don't like throwing that up in the face of the world, not only just these pilgrims, but in the face of the world, because the whole world is here. A lot of this is our fault because we still don't belong to ourselves in healthy ways. We still value ourselves as if we're still on a fucking plantation, whether the chains are present or not. And that's not up to America. That's not up to no other people. That's up to us. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you look at it like that, you're not going to have a lot of friends. You're not going to have a lot of allies. It's straight up. Go ahead.
I know you asked me the question about when you recognize sagging or telling somebody about sagging. Like what feeling did you have when you heard about the Black Seminoles and you found out who they were? Like what came up in you when you heard about them and read about them? Because you said you was a Black supremacist, so I know you know about the Maroons and the Black Seminoles. Like how'd you feel about horse and stuff?
Well, here are they Black? Are they identified as being Black due to skin color, or are they identified as being Black due to a cultural identity of Blackness? Whenever I heard of any other people that was considered to be black people that was doing something on behalf of themselves. My blackness comes from black culture. We can say it's the youngest identity ever created, whatever it is, right? That's where my blackness comes from. My blackness does not come from, having a defaulted skin color. So as far as it goes with any of the indigenous peoples who are here or in any land, hey, I'm for them. Rock how you rock. But within these contemporary times, I don't see the connection unless I actually have blood lineage connection to that. Known.
So you didn't feel a connection, like, because like I said, I could kind of feel your spirit. You didn't feel a connection of like Frederick Douglass, kind of like, hey, I know I would have been in there capping Pecos Woods too. You know what I mean?
Not for the sake of getting people to think differently. A lot of that came from, all right, well, what can we do to get you to think differently, as opposed to if there was no other people around, if there was no other people around, no adversarial element or anything, and you were a disunited people, your inevitable result is going to be to destroy one another. If you can't come to a healthy accord, it don't matter what the adversarial factor is, white supremacy, colonialism, what have you. So if of course you're supposed to ride for your folks, no matter what your skin color is, no matter what your foundation is, whatever. My supremacy is more of an inadvertent type of thing, like not being able to see that other people and other cultures wasn't measuring up. It wasn't me putting anybody down or the fact of having an opposing stance toward what is perceived as being supreme. I never believed in white supremacy. I see these motherfuckers more terrorists than they are supremacists, because you're not supposed to effort for supremacy. Supremacy is supposed to be a being factor, not a factor of effort. Just the same thing as with the alpha thing. Everybody got people think everybody can be a fucking alpha. Yeah. Because somebody tell you that, as opposed to nature, assigning you that.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
And I'm from Black Wall Street, cuz. The fuck you think it is, man? Shit, you know what I'm saying?
Now, one of my major problems with the sagging thing was kind of when people have that talk, it's usually from a point of view of, oh, it'll help our image. But my argument with that was Martin Luther King wore a suit and he was still called a nigger. So don't tell me that me changing my clothes is going to change my image towards these people. Like what you said, they don't like us because we us. It ain't got nothing to do with what we wearing.
Nothing. Not how we saying. Like, I forget brother Paul last night. Shout out. He had to talk about code switching. And the first thing I noticed with code switching was actually in the military, the Navy. And I noticed that, this black officer was, we chopping it up blackly and everything. And then all of a sudden his khaki crew come around and he started cracking the whip. And it's like, oh, really? Is that what it is? So you putting on for them? Oh, okay. Nah. That's one thing. I was 18, just had turned 18. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know to never rock like that. If that can be what code switching is, basically you're trying to make them feel some form of an alleviated dis-ease that they ain't supposed to have in the beginning, simply because the people they're in proximity of people with different skin color, not in how you present, but just the fact that you are present. Yeah. Shit, I ain't changing a motherfucking thing for these devils. Fuck what you heard. Like I wouldn't change nothing for a nigga. Shit.
Yeah, I get you.
I'm black and I'm proud. See, the subtle art is shutting the fuck up and listening. Y'all been having a conversation that I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all done read some books that I ain't read. So another development tool, fellas, that we learned today is sometimes you need to shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Okay?
This is a good
nigga,
one.
You don't know everything, nigga. Okay? You don't know everything. And sometimes, you know what? See, sometimes I hear stories like I envision, like back in the day, it used to be an old head that would sit on a rock and it'd be a bunch of young kids sitting around a campfire just listening to stories and shit. Like, niggas be needing that sometimes. Like for real. Like in real life. Not on YouTube, not on Twitter, nothing like that. Like in real life. Like sometimes we need to find an old head and he need to just give us some stories. And hopefully in like Tommy was talking about earlier, like hopefully they're not gonna lie to us when they tell us the stories. Like keep it a bean, talk to me. Let me know what it was for you when you was my age for real. Like tell me what it was. Because a lot of things have between where they was coming up and where we coming up, like when you look at what the income was versus the price of a house and all of that shit, like a lot of things have changed since then.
Mhm.
And I at least need to know what you was dealing with then so I can figure out what the fuck to do now. Because as they say, if you don't know your history, it's gonna repeat itself. So if you can't, I need
Right.
somebody to tell me what the fuck was going on
Your
for real, so I can make sure I don't double back on that. Because if black people do come, because this black supremacy that you're talking about, once the time does come and things like Black Wall Street start popping up again, we need to make sure that this shit don't get burnt down again. How the fuck? What happened last time you niggas did this shit that caused it to get burnt down? Y'all let the vampire in the house. How the fuck did that happen?
Well, that's the thing is that's the easy part. That's the easy. That's for real. Look, there's a reason of why there's the consistent pressure upon us unnecessarily. Like black people ain't trying to conquer America, but you would think that we was the way to America put all these unnecessary pressures against black people, right? So they always know that there's potentially a sleeping giant that could awaken, right? At any given moment. The thing is, all we have to do is choose to prefer that value standard. You're not going to be you're not going to be embraced by America. To me, I think we're either supposed to be destroying this motherfucker or dominating it. That's
So
it.
y'all are some intelligent fellas. So do y'all think that what's happening in Africa is real? Do y'all think that it will have any impact in terms of us being able to do anything here in America? Like, is that anything that we should be
With
looking
Ibrahim,
into supporting? Yes,
you,
even and
with
it
Ibrahim.
seems to be a lot of other countries that are doing the same thing that he's doing right now in terms of kicking people out of the country and trying to get their resources back.
Oh, it's real. I think it's definitely real. Not only is it real, it's common sense. So, you know what I'm saying? This is a common sense. This is a common sense move as far as I'm concerned. I don't look at it as being radical. Shit, to me, it's like shit. It's been about time. About time. Okay, you know, you got Julius Malema. You know what I'm saying? In South Africa, he's been doing this thing for the longest. So the thing is, it's really all about the value standard. If you can get the people to understand that this value standard is going to result in a much more higher qualified, healthy result, and
should
that
they
is that's what you should prefer, not that which could be, you know, offered to you by some outsider. You know what I'm saying? Potential colonial force or whatever. That which you create of yourself is enough for yourself, simply because it's of yourself. That means you must be enough.
from my
And go ahead, cuz.
from my standpoint, from my opinion, in doing the research, man, they had Gaddafi, they
Facts.
had Gaddafi, and he wanted to unite the African nations, and a lot of them in Africa, but even kicking it with him, like he was on some like, hey, let's get these people out of our country and steal our resources and our gold and our liquid and oil, and let's do real business. And they, let America propagandize Obama and shit, and got his own people to kill him and spew lies about Gaddafi. But I mean, if you know about Gaddafi, man, Africa was this close. It's close. You know what I mean? So,
It definitely seemed like they're trying to do it again because him linking up with Russia makes it easy for him to become an enemy of the state, as they would say. It seemed like they're trying to do it again with him. But do y'all think that, like, if it has any impact for Americans, black people in America?
I personally say no, because I'm not gonna give I don't know if Tariq started it, but I can give us a pat on the back. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody, man, but we've definitely got the FBA movement like strong. You know what I mean? So what they do is what they do, but we've got the FBA movement to where it's kind of like Kendrick. They're not like us, because when they come over here, they make sure they don't fuck with us, and they tell us that. So it's kind of like they doing what they doing, and we still got to get our stuff together. You know what I mean? If I'm wrong, let me know. But we've gotten the FBA, Foundation of Black America, movement, like grounds on the boots, hard. Our generation.
I mean,
But
it's the thing is it's a lineage identity
yeah,
that as black people, once we do any type of cultural assessment, it's always going to be damaging to those who have attached themselves disrespectfully to either our identity, our positioning, all of that, right? And they're not liking the way that, you know what I'm saying, black people is detaching. It's like, nah, wait a minute. We have to center ourselves to make sure that we have an accurate view of all of this.
yeah,
And so with him, I think that he the way that he's moving is in that vein to where, you know what I'm saying, maybe some years down the line, perhaps there could be some form of an exchange. But right now we're getting our house in order.
yeah.
When FBA first started, I wasn't down with it because it was, led by Tariq, and it seemed like Tariq was on some Adolf's hating shit, right?
Yeah.
But then it took it. I did take into consideration I wasn't really rocking with Adolf's thing because it seemed like it was more political. And my perspective was black people need to do it for the sake of themselves, for the, what I'm saying, just to be a more culturally conjoined or aligned people, so that you can inevitably grow out of what Tommy was saying earlier, that brokenness, right? We were a broken people trying to put ourselves together for real. And you know what I'm saying, just as broken as we were 60 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And now taking the steps that are required in order to cement a preferred, personal, subjective, healthy cultural identity. I think what they're doing in Burkina Faso is they already have that established, and they're just flexing that more. What we're doing is establishing it. I think this was largely the issue when it came to Pan-Africanism. You had all these other people from already as fully established cultures and foundations, potentially thousands of years deep, and we're here trying to participate in something that we've only been really healthily kind of putting together for like the last 60, 70, and still struggling with that and having all this outside interference. And along with those who are of the diaspora who will come here out of pocket with us and measuring us by the status quo of potentially outright enemies or whatever. It's like, all right, wait a minute. This is where you get EBK from. This is where you get fuck the world from. You know what I'm saying? And the world don't like to hear it unless it's put on wax and we saying it to one another. And so, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think it inevitably could be a definitely good thing. I think it's a good thing for the continent of Africa and the cultures of Africa. I love to see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm no longer a Pan-Africanist, but I'm all for, you know what I'm saying, a united Africa under African ethos. You know what I'm saying? That'd be better for the world as far as I'm concerned.
I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. I'm listening to y'all, and this is reconfirming to me why I think that age group between 15 to 25 is so important. Because that group in particular is about to be having kids very soon. And those are the kids that are going to be the difference. Because us 30s, 40s, we done already got what we can get from it. I'm not saying that in the sense of just give up and accept what the fuck it is, but in terms of like real change that's gonna happen, like we've done what we can. So now the point is that 15 to 25 and their kids, that's where all of that difference that we talking about. Because what's like you were just talking about, what's happening in Africa, they have something established. Our objective is to establish and set them up. So that's why I think that group is so particularly important. Maybe I might be off in that, but that's just why I think that's important.
I mean, you would like to.
Only if they're centering a black cultural identity with it, will it be able to be maintained. If they're just trying to do their best on their own individual, you know what I'm saying, just like what inevitably comes of the generations before them, then it's just going to be more. It's going to be more of the same. This. I asked this question. What is it like? I wanted to ask Trey because he said he's a black police officer. I wanted to ask what is it that black and this also goes to anybody that's in a political a position of politics. Really, being black is supposed to mean what? As you are participating with everybody else of their respective cultural representation within, you know what I'm saying, the social the social makeup of, say, something of a Western style country like this, right? This is a hodgepodge of all kind of different cultures, all different kind of people, whatever. But they still can be beholden and on a cultural code, socially, all of that, right? Based off of something that is outside of being an American to them, right? They're like, you know
Because
what, this part is more than being American, but we know how to be an American en masse like this because of this. Black people ain't got that. We're getting that.
And some of those people in those groups that you're talking about, the only interaction, like a black police officer, could possibly be the only real interaction they have with a black person.
But
So that could be that could be the only representation they get outside of BET and Zeus Network and whatever the fuck else they looking at.
He said Zeus.
I don't think
Real talk.
I don't think straight heterosexual black men are going in color first. I think it's man. Like I think Trey would say, I'm a police officer. You know what I mean? I see our counterparts always putting their color then gender first to get in the door. But as black men, like in our generation in this time period, I don't see a lot of us even co-signing with DEI and stuff. You know what I mean? Because now you're telling me in the NFL, count my touchdowns with 1 foot in instead of 2. You know what I mean? So now you're trying to handicap me of like oh, if I touchdowns or reception, I'm just trying to put it in sports terms. Like as a black man, you need to count it as like college. I'm at 1 foot. Now we're like, we still gonna get 2 foot in. You know what I mean? We still gonna practice. We still gonna have to work and make sure we're on our P's and Q's because we know what could happen. But as my stepdad would say, don't give any room for error.
Right. Well, I'm not talking about receiving favor. I'm not talking about receiving favor as in the form of a potential handicap, being that blackness is not the overall standard for the foundation of any of the institutions. No. The thing is, let's say, okay, you take law enforcement, right? And objectively, you can say that, all right, law enforcement get out of pocket with black people. It is what it is, right? And they'll tell you that, well, we need more representation. We need more representation on the force, right? They'll tell you that over and over again. We need more representation, more black judges, more black DAs, more black law enforcement, more black chiefs, lieutenants, yada, yada, yada. All right, then, to mean what, though? To be there because of what capacity? Just the fact that they're black and them being black, they're going to execute that blackness in a form that is beneficial within being a representative of the community, but also the force or whatever. Okay, what is the quality of that blackness within the force that it can't project to the community in whole unless there's a black person present participating, right?
So,
what is being black supposed to mean to a black police officer who was selected largely to be a representative of the black community?
So correct me if I'm wrong. I've always said it would be dope if we had more black officers, black neighborhoods, because like Tommy said, we know our trauma. We know how to interact with each other, just like white folks. You know what I mean? So I've always said specifically, there needs to be more black peacekeepers in our black neighborhoods because we understand what's going on. Because you know how these white folks are so quick to bam, bam. Oh, I felt threatened. Like, how you feel threatened because he's running away?
Yes, sir.
I mean, and I think we get a thrill out of chasing down and jumping on them and stuff. And like, we know on a culture standpoint, you look weak as hell, shoot somebody in the back when they running from you. Like, you know, you look weak as hell as just a person, as a man. You shoot somebody when they running from you. How you feel threatened? Especially us, man. You may feel threatened when your mama get that belt, but she facing you. So that's not trying to crack, but like our whole.
But how do you make a black police beholden to being black as they police? How do you make them beholden to being black?
Because he knows that
he just said just because he's police don't mean all skin folk ain't kin folk.
Yeah, right. Well, he knows the tendencies because the word they always say is, "Oh, I feared for my life." You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, you have some strict ones. Like I done seen some stuff I wouldn't let slide, but I'm not gonna go first and shoot. You know what I mean? I'm not about to keep talking. I'm gonna just hit this taser with you. I'm quick to put a taser out and punch you with these fists than pull my gun out. You know what I mean? So,
But they say, oops. I didn't know my taser was a gun. I thought I had my gun, and then when I tased him 57 times.
But
So as a taser 57.
can you agree that most of them don't respect our life when they
Of
see us?
course.
They respect our life. So if it's somebody that look like you and grew up in that area or just know what it's like, just more of a respect of life. They don't respect us. Just like the dude can go in the Carolina, shoot up at church, and then get taken to McDonald's
That's their culture, though. But to ask yourself, could the flip side occur with a black person just completely disrespecting the white person, like just because of their skin color, and being able to say, "Oops, I thought I had my taser, chief, and you know what I'm saying I shot this white bitch 300 times, and I didn't mean to. Oops, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
So on a less extreme, an example of that to me, me being in basic training, one of the best friends that I had when I was in basic training was Matt. His name was Matt, white boy from the middle of where the fuck in America, just in the middle of where the fuck,
Kansas,
right? You know what I'm saying? And for him, he legitimately had no real interaction with black people where he grew up in. Not because he was racist or he tried to separate himself. It's just in the city that he was born in, his parents, the neighborhood, the trailer park that they grew up in. I don't mean that to be disrespectful. He grew up in the trailer park. They just weren't around black people. So when he came to basic training, because he stayed on the bunk, I stayed on the bunk above him. He stayed on the bunk below me. So we were bunk partners. So we had to make sure our beds were made up. We were responsible for our bunk. So we got kind of close. That was my man's. And until me and him had to, and he was like, like it got to a point. He was like, you know what? I ain't never really like kicked it with a black person, bro. Like you are mad cool, bro. Like all I've ever seen is Grand Theft Auto, YouTube, BT, Menace to Society. Like that's all he's ever seen because he's not grown up with it. So now that he's actually had the opportunity to be in the environment where we are around each other 24/7, like you know what? None of that shit is, you know what? Maybe what people have told me has been a lie. Like that shit ain't real. Like that is the importance of having that in there. Because without it, where else are they going to get the influence?
But
Where
you're
else are they
you're
going
also
to get the
looking at the
experience?
reason of why they were told that, though. Like I've talked to old head, shout out to Bendeli Tahimbe, rest in peace. And he was telling me when he was in the military and they went to, I think they went to Thailand, they were smoking that Thai stick. And he was in there during the time where they were telling the white GIs went around telling, you know what I'm saying, the whole town that black people had tails.
Tails, yep, yeah, exactly. My grandpa told me
Right.
that too.
So you're in the military. You're supposed to be potentially giving your life for your country, right? Giving all of this, but you still have to deal with these people' personal, cultural intention being able to be made your actual reality. That's power. The intention towards the slanting of another people, based off of what? That's again why I asked the question as far as any so-called black representative within society. You know what I'm saying? If they're supposed to be a representative of black people, based off of what? Blackness to mean what? Blackness to be qualified as what within that capacity and to that industry, right?
And unfortunately, we haven't had any control of the narrative. In terms of being black means being broke, being on Section 8, being on food stamps, that having a criminal record. That unfortunately, that's what being black is, because we haven't had any control of the narrative because there hasn't been any representation.
How convenient
And
is
the only
that to other demographics?
Of course, that it is
to competing
super
demographics.
convenient. It is super convenient, and to the cooperating parties in it, the ones that are getting paid, they're getting paid large amounts to say, you know what, I'm doing it for the culture. Like, all right, bro, okay, cool, that's fine, whatever. But
Right.
unfortunately, we haven't had any control of it. So now,
Hold on. We do got control. To cut you off, we do got control because even though some of us didn't vote for that party or agree with that party, we still had a chance to shun Megan Thee Stallion and them showing the world what they thought about black folks by having artists
Working.
they ass on the table, Glorilla, Sexy Red. So we still have it. We I'm not gonna let you slide with that. We got to control our narrative now, but everybody wants to do something for a check.
Okay, so who do you think was in control?
They were.
That's a whole other conversation.
So your
Who was in
integrity for
control of
sale.
that campaign?
Hmm?
And I'm not combating that because there are participating parties in the narrative that has been presented. I'm not combating that, as most people would call them coons. You know what I'm saying? So the question would then be, who do you really think was in control of the narrative of that campaign?
To be beholden to what though? If they're coons, what are they? What are they withdrawing themselves away from? I don't use coon. I use minions. I call motherfuckers minions. You more
Or
minion.
minions, yeah,
Okay,
or
yeah, I
minions.
mean,
I
but
think
the
that
thing,
works too.
yeah, but I'm saying, but if we say coon, then it's like, okay, you're supposed to be beholden to being black in a particular capacity. What is that? Where have we established that definition, or is it that when it's the overt bad light, it's easy for us to be like, hey, just like with the George Floyd thing. Oh, it's easy to be like, hey, okay, but what about the minuscule microaggression that you might encounter just due to the culture of how they've been social conditioned amongst themselves, not even with any of us present. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying,
I think
100
that's
watts.
a, I think that's
Yeah,
a chicken and the egg. I think that's a chicken and the egg situation. Which happened first, the micro or the macro? Did the
macro.
microaggressions happen before the macroaggressions? That's a chicken and the egg situation.
That's
So
macro,
in
cuz.
terms of a solution, which one do you solve first?
I'll give you another example too, man.
Ooh, nice,
I'll give you
nice.
another example. We almost, as black folks, we almost took a big chunk out of the NFL in the revenue. We was this close,
Mm-hmm.
and from what I understand, Jay-Z undercut somebody else to get that position. But we was like, we're not watching this no more.
Yep.
Even if you take Kaepernick out of the situation and whatnot, we was like, we're not watching this at all
Yep.
until some shit happened, until some reform happened, and Lord behold, Jay-Z kind of undercut so and boom.
And he undercut the coach.
You know what I mean?
So being black is supposed to mean more. So you
Yes.
got to ask yourself, how do you get being black to mean more?
See,
And it has to be more than the saying of wearing a T-shirt that says "Black Excellence" or a
Of
slogan.
course.
You know what I mean?
look, man, it's hard. It's hard to say that black doesn't mean a lot. Like I'm watching Asian dudes spinning on their head. These niggas is still
That's our
listening to
life, cuz.
90s hip hop.
That's our life.
You know
we
what I'm
got
saying?
we got that no matter what. We the best, homie. So there is something to be said for being the best. Every nigga
So
is
if
a
you
star.
even in fashion, if we go back to sagging, even though we have our opinion of what sagging looks like, when it comes to fashion, this shit is coming from niggas around the way.
Yeah, but
And
everybody
think
else
what you
is
want, but think
everybody else
about what
is
you want about the outfits they
flavorless.
wear.
But you can't.
Everybody else, if everybody else is flavorless, that don't count, man. I'm
Yeah.
46. I've been seeing all these motherfuckers mimic, doppelganger, and do their worst fucking rendition of us since I was 6. It's been happening well before that. We are the shit, cuz. So if you the shit, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's what else are they gonna do? Well, I'm in Texas right now and be checking these Mexicans thinking they got access to the N-word because these niggas out here down south for some reason. Y'all friendly as fuck to non-black people when it come to that, homie.
I'm in Texas too, man. Dallas. Nah, I don't let other folks say N-word. I don't let them say the N-word. Like around me, if I don't know you, even if I do know you, I stopped that 2014, 12. Even Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Florida, nah, you're not saying that around me. I don't know you, especially if I don't know you, and we at the pizza shack or at like a street racing or at the taco, you say that word, nah, watch your mouth. Because I'm not gonna say what your word is. I'm not gonna call you. I'm not gonna call you a chink or a spick. I'm not gonna call you a wetback because I know all the words.
I ain't thinking about it. It ain't even in my mind to even try to refer to you like that.
At all. So especially if they address you, hey man, hold that word, bro. Don't say that around me. I'm serious about that N-word. When from other cultures, Who? Nah,
This is why I show these motherfuckers from the jump.
upside down.
All N-word fades are welcome.
Yeah.
This is like three months old paper. Anytime I hear them motherfucker, all right, cuz, okay, rules of 84, homie, what's up? You ready? You really want to say it? I'll break your motherfucking neck and take the charge. Somebody need to.
A lot of them, a lot of them don't get bad until they have a whole group, especially Mexicans out here in Fort Worth. Of course. No.
Yeah.
But it's like a stature of knowing who you are, and do men use their hands anymore? I feel like we got to use our minds more. We got to really educate stuff. I mean, we got to really have a sense of like what we are, where we going.
I think part of the thinking that I had putting this together was that so I'm in my father's house right now, and I'm helping him put the house back together, right? So I done fixed the dryer, I done put the garbage disposals working now. This week we about to pull the dishwasher out, get that running. Like, I'm trying to help him keep his house up. You feel me? And every time I complete one of these tasks, he'd be like, "Damn, dog, like you did that, my nigga." Like, I think there, in terms of men lacking confidence, like, you need to use your hands and do some shit, bro. Like, just sometimes that is the easiest way for you to just be able to have a moment to be proud of yourself for some shit.
Facts.
And on top of that, you are creating a value for yourself, whether it be in your neighborhood, your community, your job, wherever the fuck, you are creating a value for yourself. So when you go to your 9 to 5, if you work in the kitchen and you know how to do plumbing, you can tell your boss, "Hey, yo, instead of calling the plumber, just give me 75 and I'll fix the shit for you." Don't call the plumber. Give me 75 and let me fix it for you. That doing shit like that is how I've always became a manager at any fucking job that I work. Not because I'm trying to appease some white man. It's because I appreciate being able to raise my value. The work that I put in, it raises my value.
You said it right there. That develops social equity. That's something that we should talk about. You know what I'm saying? The development of and the cultivation of social equity. What happens when you put your light somewhere and it's real light? You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. The creativity behind it, but also the appreciative, how appreciative one is that you took the initiative. All of that plays a part, right? I think with the generation that y'all intend to reach, you have to fight an artificial filtering. You have to fight an artificial social filter to a degree that we didn't have to fight it at you know what I'm saying, as far as when it came to interacting with y'all. Like, I'm 46, right? So there was still some of that cultural connectivity that was there when it came to, you know what I'm saying, y'all receiving game from us, whatever. But to the younger generations, for y'all, y'all fighting the future, homie. y'all fighting the Matrix. Y'all go ahead.
No, like you said, you're fighting so much streamers, GTA 6, so much. But I feel like 32, like I keep saying, right, millennials, we're gonna reach people now who are like probably 8. You know what I mean? Like, to where they can really see us and they really be like, man, you know what I mean? He's put together. Married, like I said, wife, treating his wife right. Wife is loving him. They got the kids. We're gonna be like, hey, check this book out right here, or, you know what I mean? Or check so and so out. You know what I mean? So you can get the whole concept of what's going on. So
but is it resonating with them as? But this is the thing, though. You said 8, right? I'm telling you, when I was young, okay, my uncles and my dad first laced me. You know what I'm saying? All the cats of my dad's fraternity, they were alphas, so they laced us real young. My uncles, same alphas, right? They laced us real young, but my uncle was also in the game, right? The game. You feel me? And so it was, I learned at a young age, a older black man would teach you something cool. Because they was always teaching us things that we didn't know. I was one of those children that would stay up. when, you know what I'm saying, grown folk time and they be, you know, parlaying in the house, they having they kickback, whatever. I noted that if you got up, you know, as a kid, you try to stay up, right? I'm gonna stay up. I'm gonna stay up. Well, if you stayed up and you snuck in there, and you ain't say nothing,
Yeah, that
then
was
they let you stay in the room. You know what I'm saying? Show you some shit. Okay, you know, you playing dominoes. Let me show you what this person got in their hand. And you like, okay, how? You know what I'm saying? How do you know what they got? Yeah, I got a magic trick. I'm gonna show you, whatever, right? The thing is from then I learned that if there's a certain way, I didn't know it was respectful. I didn't know it was, I didn't know how to put it, but I knew how to present my way into where an older black man felt comfortable enough to get to lace me,
yeah.
right?
I
And
would say
I would seek that out. You don't really have that. Is that what y'all encounter from like what's the youngest age if you ever encounter that from someone at a young age, like who really just want to ask you something simply because you are an older black man?
I've been involved. I've been in strength and conditioning coach, teaching and developing from 5 to 17.
Respect. Whoo, respect. That man holy right there already. Appreciate you for serving the future, homie. Respect.
No, I mean, there's definitely. I think there's. How can I say it and it makes sense? I think that the earlier you get a child, the better, right?
Yeah.
I think that we can definitely agree there.
yeah.
I also think that in those teenage years, that's when, if I'm gonna speak for myself, my teenage years, everything that I learned before turning 13 didn't fucking matter. I'm 13, I'm a teenager, I know everything. You don't have to tell me anything. Like everything that I learned completely went out the window. I wanted to do my own thing now. And because now I'm doing my own thing, it would have been in my best interest to have someone that would be able to check in with me every now and then and say, yo, what do your grades look like? Why are you getting suspended from school? Why the fuck did you get into a fight last week? Do you have any plans of taking a PSAT? Have you even attempted to apply for college? But nothing. There no kind of guidance, direction, or nothing. Hey, young bull, I see you out here selling T-shirts. Why don't you think about investing in Robin? Robin Hood wasn't popping at the time when I was coming up, but you get what I'm saying. Like
Right.
nobody was giving any of that direction when I was a teenager, where I feel like it mattered the most, because that teenager is where you start challenging becoming an adult. You're now in your mind, you're trying to let go of childish shit and you're trying to become an adult. And I think that was for me, if I'm gonna speak for myself personally, that was the most important time where I think if somebody would have gave me some kind of direction other than just letting me do whatever the fuck I wanted to,
Right.
I do personally believe that things could have changed, that turned out differently. And I think that happens for a lot of teenagers where people just forget about them. They say, you know what, you're 14, you're too old for me to work with you, so fuck it, go do what you're gonna do. You're 19, you already graduated, you're 19, fuck it, go do what you're gonna do. You're grown now. And I think that is a complete gap of just lost and ignorance, just a complete gap of lostness and ignorance. And that is what's creating that lost ignorance is who has 4 or 5 baby mamas. Like that particular age range right there is where that ignorant shit is coming from.
The thing is, when it comes to that, Ether, I remember hearing everybody's mouth saying that back in the early '80s. They was counting down the years. I can't wait till you get 18 so you can get out my house. 18 so you can get out my house. And they saying it's an 8-year-old, it's a 7-year-old, 8, 9, 10. And it's like, okay, wait, we already know how you feel with that. You know, okay, but what I was thinking was 18. What is this with 18? Okay, you grown and I don't have to deal with you no more. Yep. To me, you belong to your city. You belong to you're living for the city. You're not living for yourself. You're not living for your own culture. You're living for the city. It's a rite of passage for you to be out on your own at 18. Okay, wait a minute. What if I don't have to be? What if there is, I still have to prepare to settle myself within this society, right? And it's not just a matter of proper moral It's also a matter of having an adequate amount of financial know-how. You know what I'm saying? As they say,
Hold on.
street. Go ahead.
So your parents are boomers. So you heard that?
Yeah.
You heard that from boomer parents?
Oh, for sure. But yeah, not usually not the fathers, but it was mostly people's mama. Definitely my mom, and I heard other folks' moms saying that too. Yeah.
Right.
And so it was just it was routine. Like, yeah, you can't wait till you get out my house. And it's like, it is okay. So the children aren't connected. The children aren't connected to the house. To me, I say for black people have kids as opposed to have children. Children comes from family planning. Kids come from products of fucking.
Yeah.
And that's largely the way that black people value their children. Black people don't value their children like their children are the future.
It's kind of like our generation. You were maintained, you weren't raised.
Yeah.
You was just maintained. You know what I mean? Watch your dad.
As long as your ass don't die. As long as you don't die and you don't make you have me looking bad when people look at us. I'm good.
Definition of a latchkey kid, fam. You better have that meat pulled out the freezer by the time I get home, type shit.
Man, nah, nigga, I was fully cooking, cuz shit. Second grade, we cooking everything. Take that key off the string and shit. You rocky.
I ain't even gonna say that. I don't even want to do that to my mother. I ain't even gonna do that.
First grade little brother and the baby little sister. And you got to make it do what it do. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is also, those were also the times where the community had one another. You wasn't just there by yourself. You actually did have people, you know what I'm saying, come in, check up on you. They'll call the house, hey, y'all there alone, whatever, want to make sure, yada, yada, yada. All that changed once crack came to the picture. Once crack came into the picture, everybody started locking their doors. All the remaining, whatever remnants of trust that we had left, that shit was gone. Done.
Didn't I tell y'all not to have nobody in my house? I didn't, Mom. Then why so-and-so told me they saw that girl sneaking out the back door?
For real.
Yeah.
But hey, yo, we getting on 3 hours, man. I appreciate the sharpening, you know what I'm saying, and the hospitality. I holler at y'all on the flip, man. Y'all be well, okay?
Appreciate you.
Respect.
Man, I always appreciate you. To each and everybody that tuned in here today, definitely want to say
thank you
and I appreciate you. On your way out, if you haven't already, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Liberty Twitcher, appreciate you popping in real quick before we get out. I go by the name of 100 Watts. You can follow me on Finesse Visions over at YouTube. Until next time, you guys stay beautiful.